Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chronicles of Hollywood History, past, present, and future. Welcome. And here now, Corey Gomez.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Chronicles of Hollywood History. This is Corey, your host. Today, I am joined by, there's no other way to say it other than the legend himself, Lance Henriksen. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It'll be fine. I love talking about myself.
Wow.
No, I don't. No, it's okay. I get by.
There's nothing wrong with talking about yourself. That's what you're here to do.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
You've done so much.
I'll take that as permission.
There you go. You can even go so far as to say you were in. You've been in a few, but James Cameron's first real film was Piranha 2, which I'm a big fan of. You were the police chief in that, so
yeah, down in Jamaica.
Directors from the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, neither one of us had a nickel. You know, we were broke. We were just. When that opportunity came up, it was actually pretty exciting because I watched him try to do the best he could in a terrible situation. You know, so and he did very well. The problem with the film was it was produced by a guy from Italy that his habit was to fire the director the minute the movie was finished. In other words, the shoot was finished. Mm-hmm. And then he would run away with it and take the credit for it. So
I just watched it. 88 Films over in England just put out a big collector set, and I bought it. I watched it with my son. It's a fun movie. The fish can fly and eat you. It was great.
That's the bottom line. The fish can. Jim was up at his hotel room making them all day long. All night long.
Is that how your part in the Terminator came about? Just your relationship with him from the past?
I think so. I never asked him. We just kept moving on. And that came up, and he painted me as the Terminator in a painting.
Oh.
Yeah, and he wanted me to do the Terminator, but he said to me, go up to Hemdale, and which was the production company, and he said, show him what the Terminator's going to be like. And I went, all right. I just was going to do that and go home, not worry about it. I didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. So I did. I got in punk outfit kind of thing and dirty and cut on my head, and I put gold Vantage cigarette foil on my teeth. I don't know why I did that, but I did. And I burnished it in, and then I kicked the door open of Hemdale and walked in and scared the shit out of the secretary. And then Hemdale, I didn't realize that Hemdale was actually a boxer, a really good one. And I could have got my ass kicked, but anyway. But he said to Jim after I left, I just turned around and left because Jim said, just go and show him what it's a little bit like, and then leave, and I'll show up. And I said, sure, yeah, I'll do that because I like Jim a lot. I always have. And so after I left, he said, who do you want to play the Terminator? And he said, Lance. And he said, anybody but him. And that was the end of that. But I was in the movie anyway. But it was, I've never, kind of got upset by what I didn't get. That's ridiculous. You just spend your life being morbid,
Did you ever figure it? And I'll ask you this about a few films, but did you ever imagine, when you're doing that movie in 1984, not only would it become such a phenomenon, but that the star of it, Arnold Schwarzenegger, would go on to be one of the biggest action stars ever and a future governor?
I know. No, I would have never imagined that. he was a nice guy. You know, he sat on the steps of his honey wagon trailer because our budget wasn't giant, you know, and smoking cigars. And he was a nice guy. He was just a nice guy.
You had that, you know, arguably to this day, I mean, they still make them. Then just a couple of years later, you were in, you know, you did Aliens, which, you know, is another massive hit that to this day is still, you know, watched and talked about, considered a classic. You have, you know, within 2 years, you became two huge pop culture phenomenons.
You know what? It doesn't surprise me because in so many ways, what was going on at the time, you know, the movies that were being made at the time, they were, Jim had a very fresh take on how to make a film, you know, and he kept getting better and better and better, you know, so his love of movies is, you know, it's just, it's like him. He's a guy who's full of details and full of new ideas all the time. I mean, all the time. And still, I know he's going to surprise a lot of people, you know.
Here's a weird question, because now I can actually ask someone that was in the film.
Yeah.
I have always considered the Terminator to be almost like to me, it's a horror movie, but everybody else says it's an action movie. What's your take on that?
Well, it got dense, you know. The movie got very dense, like which made it science fiction for me. But it did have a horror element because you didn't know where it was going to strike from, and then more and more you find out what the young guy is facing. He's never going to be able to go back to where he was. You know, I mean, you can come here, but you can't go back, which made it gave it an element of pathos. You know, it was like he's going to fight to the death, but he's never going to get back, never going to be home. And then when you find out the science fiction part, is you find out that he's the father. You know what I mean? He's the father of the man in the future. So pretty incredible. I mean, it's a great twist, which makes it to me more of a horror film. But sci-fi, the sci-fi was welded in.
Oh,
you know, was really good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I never lost a moment of sleep from not playing that character. You know what? I would have been more like a spider, and a deadly spider, and he would have been. You know, he's a bulldozer. Mm-hmm. So it's a different deal. And I, for years, people were saying that to me. I heard you were going to be the Terminator, and I didn't know that. Nobody said that to me. Neither Gail nor Jim. And I kept fighting it and saying, no, that's not true. I just went and did that. And then Gail, we were doing a commentary on the Terminator, you know, in a recording booth, both of us. And she said, no. I said, Gail, I got to clear the air about something. I never said I was going to be the Terminator. Never. I just went and did that because Jim asked me to, and he's a friend. So anyway, Gail said, no, Jim wanted you for the Terminator. And I said, holy shit, I didn't know that.
Now, you were in a straight horror movie that is, you know, it's considered by, you know, either the number one or the number two vampire film ever made, Near Dark. Do you have any fond memories of that one?
Oh, so many. I love doing that movie. I mean, yeah. Yeah. It was, talk about a dark movie. I mean, there's only one way to describe it. I mean, there was Bill Paxton and Jeanette Goldstein and these people, all these people that I really liked a lot. I mean, they were, and especially Bill. Bill and I had a great sense of humor together. We kind of, it was like getting into a giant bowl of caviar and swimming swim around to see what happened. It was great. It was just, I love making that movie. I really did, because it was a Western. Bill called me originally and said, "Hey, Lance, I just read a script. You've got to read this thing." And I said, "Really? That good, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, it's a vampire Western. And I said, "All right, Bill, I'll see you later." I hung up on him. You know, just as a joke, I hung up on him. And then the script came floating in. And boy, when I read it, it was written by Catherine Bigelow and Eric Red. And it was not written like a normal script. I mean, it was almost like a poem, the whole script. It just, the language and everything else, the visuals that were going on, it was written like poetic. It was beautiful, really beautiful. And got you really excited right away. And then we went and did the movie, and we rehearsed, and we just savored the whole thing. We really did.
Well, I don't think anyone will ever forget these spurs slashing the guy's throat open. The fact you were in a foiled out car to block the sunlight. I mean, it was incredibly clever.
Yeah, vampires are pretty smart.
They are.
You don't want to fuck with them.
No.
Excuse my French.
Oh no, you can cuss. You're fine. The other horror movie you made like a year later, I won't lie, I was like so looking forward to it because I was reading all the horror magazines. I was a kid and I saw all these pictures. It was Pumpkinhead, and I see all these cool pictures of this monster. And when the monster came out, you only really see him for a few minutes, like out of the rain toward the end. So that was a little bit of a letdown. But that's another one that went on to have, I think, 3 or 4 more sequels to it. It was highly popular, huge video hit.
And I should have never done those sequels. They were, it had to do with money. I had a baby, and I went and did them. And a couple of them were in Romania.
I liked the second one a lot. I really did. I liked better than the first one.
I know. You never know what's going to happen. It's like you never know the outcome, really, because it's all done in pieces, and everything depends on everybody. And so it's like sometimes it takes off on its own, and other times it's because they've done the prep and the work. And they didn't have Stan Winston to do the monster, which is Stan. He was the best in the business, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Great designer, and builder. He was quite a guy. I was glad to know him.
Do you have any memories of overseas? It's known as, I think, House 4. Here in the States, it's called The Horror Show with the late Byron James. Do you have any memories of that one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You don't want to hear them, no?
Oh, yeah, I do. Come on.
Well, there was a period, in the 80s, and I don't remember the date of that movie, but anyway, where they would take a single kind of story and I didn't think it worked. I really didn't. But it was, again, I have no control over what's going to happen in the movie. I have control over what I do, but I don't over what other people do. So I wasn't fond of that movie, but it's okay. I mean, it's, nobody steps up to the plate and hits a home run every time. There's no way. It just doesn't happen. So you bunt, you try to steal a base, you do these things.
Well, the one we were talking about beforehand that you not only hit a home run, knocked it out of the fucking city, was the greatest biker film ever made. Chains Cooper, head of the Brotherhood. I swear to God, and I got in a deep shit. Where I used to work. My email sign off. All these people had like these these silly quotes from like famous people or nurses and doctors, and mine said the last words I ever said to me. The last words my father ever said to me were, "Don't, son, that gun is loaded," and it said Chance
Right.
Cooper after it. I got like suspended for a couple days, and I didn't care. But that was the most amazing film.
That's a bad one to use.
Well, I mean, it's very poetic if you think about it.
It is. It is.
I
That
mean,
was an improvised line. That wasn't even written.
I
It was.
mean, you were so good. I told you, Chuck Zito, a legitimate Hell's Angel, says you were the best president of any biker club in a film. You had William Forsythe was the sergeant at arms. I mean,
Oh, I know. I love
Bosworth.
Bill Forsythe. He's a cool guy. I mean, he got into it. He really did. Bill and I really we weren't messing around.
And and that was even Bosworth's first film. I mean, that was a hell of a movie. And yeah, I mean, you guys were like you were chameleons. I mean, you were so into that part. Did you? I know, like you always read about how De Niro hangs around, like if he's a bounty hunter, he hangs around bounty hunters. Did you hang around with bikers to get ready for that film, or was that just all 100%?
No, it was. Yeah, I took my last $5,000 that I had and had I borrowed a bike from a guy and then had it worked on, had it painted. In fact, I ended up marrying the woman that painted my motorcycle for that movie.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, she was absolutely a talent, beautiful. And yeah, we were married for about 10 years. But anyway, the bike I had made was parts of bikes, and I updated all the brakes and everything else on it, and I rode it everywhere. I mean, I just rode it everywhere. I loved it. It was a rigid frame Harley, and I didn't want nothing fancy on it. I just wanted it to look a certain way. And then I went to a jeweler and had him make my brotherhood the jewelry I wore, on my coat and everything else. And I just personalized the whole thing. And then, oh my God, this is a great story. I forgot all about it. The actors arrived that were going to be in it, and I thought, this is not going to work. These guys are about as badass as a box of Kleenex, and so I decided I went to the producer and I said, look, let me go to the local bike clubs, because we were down in, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi, and I said, let me go find some guys, like Christ looking for the apostles, I mean, it was, so I did. I went out and hired Asgards. I hired some guys one guy that was from the Banditos, and then other guys, real bikers. And so I got them hired, and then I was really happy because they were legit. I mean, their acting was no acting, that kind of thing. So I ended up with those guys, and then they came to me at one point and said, look, we're all leaving. And I said, why are you leaving? What's going on? So they said, well, they're not paying us anything, and we're using our own bikes and everything else. So I went to the producer again, and I said, look, you got to pay these guys more. You got to triple their money. You can't expect them to stay and have no money. So he did. And then I really became the president. They said, I said, I'll take care of it. That's all I said to them. I'll take care of it. And I went and took care of it. But it was almost life, like I'm always amazed by life actually interceding in issues like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it happens not because you plan it, but because it becomes necessary, So I felt it was a long shoot and it was a hard shoot, but I loved the challenge. So I had a great time. I really did. And those guys all did a good job. I mean, it was something. It was really something.
Do bikers still come up to you to this day and call you Chains?
Sometimes, yeah.
Right.
Sometimes.
Do you still have the cut? Do you still have your vest?
No. My stainless steel vest. I asked for that because I realized that if I get killed, it's going to be with a knife. And, somebody's going to stab me in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a stainless steel vest that they use in the slaughterhouse. And I wore that all the time. And my sweat was so hot down there. My sweat turned it into a battery. It really was something. Occasionally.
I know you were, murdered at the end of the film as well as Forsyth. Did you ever think there'd be a sequel to that movie?
No, I really didn't, because it was more like a happening, a quick happening. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I mean, Brian could have gone on and done something else, but I think he would have ran out of wardrobe. I mean, between the lizard and the Speedo and the leather coats down to the floor. I mean, it was like, Come on, man. Come on. Do something. Do something different.
You got to admit, though, he's the only guy that a mullet ever looked right on.
Yeah, in a way. I don't like mullets.
Now then, here's one that I watched it again not that long ago. I saw a movie in '93. I saw it in the theater, and by saw it in the theater, I mean it played for a weekend in one theater. No one ever heard of it in my circles. I think it's one of the best films made. Amazing action, amazing twist ending, Excessive Force with you and Thomas Ian Griffin.
Oh, wow, yeah. That was wild.
Why do you think that didn't get, a larger push? I mean, it was a great mystery, a great action, great acting, and it just kind of didn't have much publicity behind it.
That happens. I remember when Pumpkinhead came out, De Laurentiis had gone belly up, and the first ad that came out with the movie was the size of a business card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's never
that happened.
When you did Excessive Force, did you think it was going to be a big one, or at least promoted heavy or anything?
No, I don't. I never worry about that stuff. I can't. I can. Right now, I've got a movie coming out that I did with Viggo Mortensen, and he directed it, he wrote it, he's in it, and I got the starring role in it. And it right now he's in Europe. Viggo is, and him and I have been doing Zooms all over the world over the last month. And the movie will show, and then we'll do a talk afterwards, Q&A. Mm-hmm. And it's so rewarding. I mean, it's so rewarding. And eventually, they're not releasing any movies in the States at all.
No, my theaters here are all closed.
Yeah. So as a result, but it was bought everywhere in Europe, all over the place, and they're showing it in theaters. They're doing distancing, social distancing, all of that with masks. And they're civilized over there. Anyway, and we're getting 5-star reviews, and all kinds of incredible things are happening. Inevitably, it'll be here in the States, but you know what I mean. You'd be surprised at how many machinations happen because of commerce and because of whatever. I mean, it's like a storm out there right now. I mean, and it usually is anyway. I mean, it's not easy. And again, back to the '90s movies, the '90s. That era. Some of those movies, they weren't big budget movies. They were modest. Let's put it that way. Except for Aliens. I mean, that was a big budget movie. There's no doubt. you just never know because it's a business, you know, and I'm more on the artistic end of it, you know, where I thrive on the adventure and I thrive on creating something. You know, like I remember Jim Jarmusch did Dead Man, which is this black and white film with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
I was in it and other people, and it was so beautiful to work on, the way he worked. They offered him another $10 million if he would shoot it in color, and he said no. You know, I mean,
I remember I went and saw that at a midnight theater. I was fresh out of high school. I saw that in a midnight movie. I was high as a kite. And I'll never forget just how much I stared at that film. And then I watched it again, of course, you know, normally, like when it came out on video. That's a hell of a weird yet really just artistically good film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I you know, I ride horses really well, and you know, I've done westerns. I've done a few. That's actually where I met Vigo. We did Appaloosa together.
Well, I got to mention in '93, my son's 11. He saw it when he was 8. It's still his favorite movie. Hard Target, Van Damme, John Woo, the greatest action director in history. He'd probably never be compared to. His first big American film. Van Damme was, you know, on fire at the time. Didn't look right with the mullet. I got to say that he wasn't Bosworth. You were so cold in that. We had with the trench and the one-shot elephant gun and the hunting humans, which is an amazing. That movie is so amazing. What was it hard to film that? Because I know Wu at the time had only done like the Hong Kong style films.
No, it wasn't hard at all. He to me is a total artist. I mean, I love John Woo. Him and I used to sit on the street corner and eat crayfish and talk. You know, I mean, we got very close, all of us. But I was playing such a dark character that it was it was dark. That guy was very dark. And you know, and the things I had to find to make it work. I picked my gun. I picked the clothes I wanted to wear and all of that stuff. I mean, I burrow in, you know, and try to find something new and that I can count on. You know, like he set me on fire, and I said, John, I'll do it. Just give me that stuff to put on, and I won't burn up. You know. So we did it, and then he said, we didn't get it good enough, and I said, let's do it again. I got so jacked up with excitement over getting set on fire that he said, okay, that's enough. That's good. Yeah, I love John. I saw him. He saw Fallen at a screening and was very complimentary. I mean, we're going into a new era now, I think. You know, I mean, Vigo is so talented. It's unbelievable. He's become my favorite person over the years. Incredible. It's incredible.
What was Van Damme like to work with? You hear mixed.
Well, he was. How do I put it? I liked him. I actually liked him, but he was very almost like a college guy in a funny way. You know, he was just like he was on a cloud. He was so happy to be doing it. And I like him now. He's gotten older, and he just needs the right scripts, and he'll be really back again. You know, I mean, he's got that French Foreign Legion kind of thing about him. You know, a very tough French guy, Belgian.
He's a great actor. I don't think he's ever gotten the credit he deserves for his acting ability.
No, and he never got the script he needs. You know, I mean, it's.
He's an interview I hope to do one day.
Yeah. You'll find him so pleasant to talk to. I mean, he's changed a lot. You know, he's as you get older, you suddenly get to your core. I think, and I like the way he looks. He's getting wrinkled, and, you know. Yeah, he looks great. He looks like more of the badass than he ever looked when he was young.
Now, did you get to see a finished print of Hard Target? Because I know he had to take out a good 15 minutes of violence just to get an R rating, and it was very violent as it was. Did you get to see, like, the full cut of it with, like, the more graphic ear-cutting scene and all that stuff?
You know what? I always worry about what they, how they... Well, look at what's going on now. People turn to each other and say, hey, why don't you suck my dick? You know, I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. Even the violence doesn't matter anymore. You know, it's a little bit like, in a way, it's a little bit like Trump. You know, it just blurs. You know, it's where it's going to head to different places now. But I don't know, buddy. I don't like censors very much.
No, I don't either, especially when I got to shell out $75 for a bootleg just to see what I missed.
yeah, there you go. I remember I had to go to, where was I? Bulgaria. And I went to Bulgaria to work on something, and I had finished a Hard Target, and it was already on the street in Hard Target. You know, you could buy a DVD of it. And the crazy part was you take it home and you watch it, and you realize there's a guy sitting in the theater with a camera.
Yeah, I got screwed by them in the 90s.
Yeah, they were just so bad, man. You see people getting up to get their popcorn right in front of the screen.
Now I gotta skip ahead, and I gotta ask you, because I'm a big Van Damme guy, which also means I am a huge Seagal guy. And about 12 years ago, you were in a Seagal film that my friend and I still quote to this day because of some of his ridiculous dialogue. Pistol Whip. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Now, what was he like to work with? Because he always seems like he's the most serious man on the face of God's green earth.
Well, yeah, I'd say he got carved out of granite somewhere along the line. You know, but anyway, he said to me, Lance, listen, write a monologue about me that when we were back in Vietnam and we did these things, and write something. Right? We're in an old burned out theater, and he says, go write me something. And I went, okay, I'll have fun doing that. And I did it. I wrote him the worst fucking monologue ever written on purpose.
Was he pleasant to work with?
Yeah, as long as you had a defense.
I got you. Yeah, because you hear stories about how he could be kind of rough with the stuntmen and stuff like that.
No, I don't mean that way. No, he didn't pull any shit on me. But no, not that he was purposely doing it. He just once you get your body moving, then suddenly it can get edgy because he's a big guy. Mm-hmm. He's bigger than a lot of guys. He's huge. And as he's getting older, he's getting huger.
Yeah, you know what? I'm getting older. I'm getting huger. I can't throw a stone at that. Plus, he has more hair than me, so he's doing okay.
Yeah. He's not a bad guy. I mean, I don't know about his private life at all. I know nothing. But on the set, he does all right.
A few months ago, I bought his newest film. You know, he still puts out a few a year. I still buy him. I'm still entertained by him.
Yeah, they're entertaining.
You've done, a lot of horror movies. It was cool because you had Aliens, and then you even got to be in Aliens Predators, so you can say you were with Aliens and Predators.
Oh, yeah, I got killed by all of them.
Well, what was...
You know what? I mean, look, you do you know what I mean? You do what's available. It's not like I'm producing my own movies at all. Never have, never will. But you enter into, I mean, I have a lot of genres in my life. Westerns, I've done a lot of those, and I've done a lot of, you know what I mean? It's just you do what becomes available, and you decide, well, do I want to do this? Because one of two things, that you have to put food on the table, but you also have to have an edge on it. Like, how am I going to make something out of this where I'm not going to be embarrassed by it? You know, I don't feel embarrassed by anything I've done except one of the remakes of Pumpkinhead, and I should have never touched it.
See, I like those Pumpkinhead sequels, so I'm glad you did them.
Oh, thank you.
You know, one movie you were in that I really liked, most people don't mention it, is Starkweather. And that's because Charles Starkweather happened a couple miles from, where I live. So, that story's legend here. That was a really good film. You had a really good part in that, too.
Thank you. I don't remember it, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say about Hollywood. I've always been kind of a little bit of an outsider in the sense of, I don't go to parties, and I don't, that's not my world. I don't need to be seen that way. It doesn't do anything to me, so I don't do it. That kind of thing. I mean, I have a few friends that if they ever ask me to come anywhere, I would, I mean, because they're friends and I know them well. But in terms of playing the Hollywood game, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I see people doing it, and I don't know what it is. So, when I'm not acting, I'm in my shop making pottery. I'm an obsessed potter. But any because I need labor, I need it, and I have a karmic connection to pottery. I don't know why. But I was in Paris doing a video game called Detroit Becomes Human, and I was there for like a week, and I spent my whole time in the Louvre. Every minute I was off, I was over in the Louvre, and 2 days later, somebody shot the place up.
I should have probably asked you this first. How did you get started in acting?
New York. I'm from New York originally. And I was, the angry young man at 30. And so I'll tell you how connected I am to movies. When I was a kid, my mother was a waitress, and I was shining shoes on the street rather than go to school because I hated school. I mean, I only went to 3 years of grammar school in my life. And so I would go to movies, and I had a personal kind of relationship with them. I remember watching the life of Enrico Caruso, and it starts out and it's a color movie, and it was Mario Alonso was playing Caruso, and he was singing, and the whole town in Italy liked him, and he meets a girl, and he falls in love with her, and he's starting to become a little famous, and then suddenly he became very famous, and you see him getting older, and he's reaching to the point where he dies, and his neck explodes and kills him, right, from singing. And I left the theater, and I was only a little kid. I mean, I think I was probably all of 11, and I thought, oh my God, they could tell your life in an hour and 15 minutes, your whole life. It shocked me as a kid. And I went, oh shit. And then I started to get that feeling I don't want to be forgotten, that I was never here, and And then I watched Kirk Douglas going upriver on a barge with all his buddies and flintlock rifles and all of that stuff. And I wanted to go. And so by the time I was 12, I ran away from home and decided I'm going to get a flintlock. I'm going to get a rifle. And, you know, I started living stuff that I'd seen, you know, because it was a little less monotonous than Manhattan, you know, which is where I was raised. And then years later, I came back and I started studying acting. I did my first play. I had sailed on a ship, and when I got off the ship, I heard that the Berghoff Studios were going to be doing 3 plays at the sea. So I walked in, and I'd never acted. And I said, yeah, I'd like to be in your play. I just got off a ship, and I love the ocean, and I know about the ocean. But anyway, they said, okay, let's read you. Well, at that time, I couldn't even read hardly. It would take me a day to read a page. And so I said to them, look, I could build your set because I know everything about ships. And they said, really? I said, yeah, I'll build the whole set. Wow, they got excited. There were 26 people in that play. But anyway, it was off Broadway. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I said, yeah, I could build a set. And they said, okay, well, let's read. And I could do the lighting.
Wow.
And then they never brought up reading again. Well, because they were on a limited budget, I guess. So I did all of that. I built the set, and I did the lighting, and got the part, and it was the lead in it, and I didn't even know I was the lead in it at all, because that's how green I was on it. So I went home and got a friend to put all the dialogue in both 3 plays, so it was 3 different plays. And I said, put it on tape for me, and I'll memorize it that way. And so I did. And I memorized everybody's role like an idiot.
Wow.
You know? I didn't realize you didn't have to do that. You just have to do your words. So anyway, we do the play, and it ran with a full house every night, and after opening night, after all the rehearsing and everything else, after opening night, we all went to a restaurant, you know, to celebrate that it opened. And so somebody came walking in with the New York Times, and there was my picture. And I jumped straight up in the fucking air. I went, what? I didn't even know I was the lead in the fucking play. And that's a true story, man. And so, you know, I really, that's the way my life went. You know, it's almost like a miracle, because it made me human again. I felt, I came from a very rough childhood, so the arts, whether it be painting or music or acting, it was my great rescuer, the purpose to life. So anyway, that's an interesting story.
Do you have a favorite? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a favorite role that you've ever played?
I think I'm not kidding you, man. Something that's happened. I mean, the movie that Vigo wrote, it's called Falling. That film absolutely changed my life. It's like it was like almost the most difficult, but also the most rewarding, and it's about a family, you know. So it's changed my life. It's changed my whole demeanor, everything, because I actually got through it and did it. It's a very, I think it's a powerful film. I really do.
Are you able to tell us, like, the plot of it?
Well, if you look up the interviews, Variety did an amazing interview.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, a lot of interviews have come out, but Variety, and also what is that? Ah, shit. There's about 5 of them that came out that were when we went to Sundance with it. That was the last thing happening, and we didn't know Corona was coming. Nobody did.
No.
And so we had standing ovations every night. They showed it about 5 times, and we were just blown away by the reception. Yeah, and there's some very good reviews. If you look them up, you'll see there.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I'm anxious to see it. I'm a big Viggo Mortensen fan, and
I am too, buddy.
He wrote the film too, as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he wrote it. He did the music. He directed it. He produced it, and he's in it. Now I don't know how many more hats you can wear.
No, Now, I've been a fan of his for a long, long time. He's very talented, so yeah, I'm anxious to see it. Another one you wrapped, and I just talked to, of course, Sean and Christy Harris. Of course, I'm friends with Branscombe. You got The Unhealer will be coming out pretty soon too.
I got which one?
The Unhealer.
Oh yeah,
I watched it a few weeks ago. That's a fun movie.
It's just I love playing that character. I mean, he was such a fucking homeless parasite, fucking parasite living in a van, and he does all this shit, starts a whole ball rolling. Yeah, I loved it. I only worked on it for 2 days, so it was just. I love to play outlandish things. I mean,
I was just going to ask, especially when you said he was a parasite. You get cast a lot as the bad guy. Do you prefer to play the bad guy, or do you like to be the hero? Do you have a preference at all?
I love playing heroes, but I don't get that many. I guess I scare people when I go in and have the meeting. I mean, I don't know, man. If you look behind the curtain, you end up finding out that who knows who's the hero and who's not.
Yeah.
Just it's where they put the camera that matters. You don't want to take a picture of this guy having a nice little time at a fucking delicatessen or something.
No,
but I got another one coming out. I think I've done a couple right before I went and did. It took us 5 years to get Falling made. So all that time I was getting new scripts from Viggo rewrites and stuff, and he would come to my house and with some of the other people he wanted in it, and I have to tell you, man, it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done because we had the time to do it. And also we had Viggo, who was this guy, he's capable of being the bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral. He really is. He's a very talented human being. And I feel privileged to be in it. I really do. I mean, it happened. I think it happened because we met on Appaloosa that Ed Harris directed, and it was, and we really hit it off, all of us. And I love Ed Harris. He's a buddy. Because we had done the right stuff.
He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, we did right stuff. That was a good guy. I played a good guy in that.
Now you've got one coming out, I think, where you play yourself. It's called Bring Me the Head of Lance Henriksen with Tim Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know. That was an improvised comedy that we were doing just to see what would happen. And the guy, that was made like 5-7 years ago or something like that.
I would love to see it. I've only heard about it.
I know, I know. I don't know what the guys are doing with it. The guy who directed it. It was a freebie. It was a total freebie.
I mean, who doesn't love Tim Thomerson, Martin Cole,
Oh.
Adrian Barbeau? You know, you read about it, and it's like, I want to see it. Then it's like, when the hell am I going to see it? It's been like 10 years. Where's this thing at?
Yeah, it has. I mean, come on, buddy. They won't recognize me.
Yeah, maybe he never found you, I guess. I
don't think he could figure out how to put it together.
Maybe he'd let me watch a copy of it.
Maybe, I don't know. It's silly. It's just a silly one. The plot of the story is simple. It's so every time Tim Thomerson goes in to audition for a movie or to meet on a movie, they go, oh, no, that role's taken. Lance Henriksen's, we've been offering it to him, so no, sorry. and then, so it happens so much that he finally starts stalking me. He wants to find out, how the hell do I do it? You know, so that's the premise.
I mean, it's got a great cast in it.
Yeah, I mess with him. I say, look, I'll meet you tomorrow I want to meet you at the Denny's, or wait, I'll tell you better. I'll meet you at this restaurant, this particular restaurant, and I never show up. and then I say, I'll be right back, and I turn the corner and I'm gone. It's just a fun, simple premise, but it reminded me of like a French movie where you just have. But don't you realize you're lying way? I say things like, you're lying way too much. If you tell the truth, things will get better. You watch. And they just give them stupid fucking, stupid ideas so that he could fumble some more. And I figure inevitably what will happen is he'll score something. And, it's just fun. And I love Tim. He's a great guy.
Oh,
he was in Near Dark.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was in Near Dark.
You got to, I mean, you're, rightfully so, considered one of the greatest actors out there. And,
no.
Easy. And you got to work with, at the time, he was considered to be one of the greatest upcoming, future stars. You got to work with Mickey Rourke when he was still kind of fresh in Johnny Handsome. Do you remember that one at all?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I've always respected Mickey's acting abilities.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, he really is. It's life or death. He really digs in. But see, those are the people. I knew him in New York. So our paths cross, and I think the thing I would love to leave you with is the idea that we all want to be seen and heard. When parents are being the dark cloud over young people's heads, the reason they move toward each other is because they're being seen and heard, and nobody's judging them and nobody's beating on them. And so acting is a lot like that. I mean, it's like you step away from the previous life, the parental life, and you are free. You feel hopeful and kinder and all those things. Youth is quite a gift, and so yeah. Anyway, that's how I see it, and that's what I've met a lot of people over my life already. A lot. And I don't love them. I just, I'm just living my life. Yeah. I just got a little sentimental there. That wasn't good.
Do you have any advice for people now that want to break into the acting business?
You have to have a real reason why you want to be in it. If you're just going to be a pretty face or one of those things, I think it takes a little time to make it yours, make it personal to you. If you don't, kind of have a limited edition, of your acting. So I don't know. I just think young people, they'll find their way. Every generation influences each other. The youth do. If you notice, you like your young people, you be hanging out with people your own age, and then you start finding the mentor in other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day that you start mentoring other people, you've moved into it, and I wish you well. It's not easy. It isn't easy. For some it is, but who knows for how long? I've been doing it now, 50 years? That's a long time.
And you haven't slowed down yet?
No, I don't intend to. I have 2 daughters that I love more than life. They're great. I'm a lucky man. Mm-hmm. And so that keeps me going. And I'll probably, I don't know. I can't predict anything.
One thing I got to know for myself, because you're you're an icon in general, but the horror community, you really are an icon. Are you a big fan of horror films?
I've always been a big fan of them. Yeah. And ironically, I've been hanging out with the best that do this.
Oh yeah.
That do this stuff. The guys like Stan Winston and Amalgamated Dynamics. This Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff. Can't tell you how many movies I've done with them where they're like the best around. I mean, these guys are, and they're still doing it. So we love to hang out and spin stories and decide, well, what if we're on another planet? What if? And that's the pleasure of it all. It really is. Or a love story. A love story. Yeah, I'll do the remake of the love story.
Maybe you could do another Pumpkinhead film.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
Okay. I think I don't know what's going to happen now. I mean, things are changing just on their own.
Do you think because
I've done about, I think up to now, probably 20 Zoom interviews, and then interviews on the phone, stuff up. It's all about falling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very refreshing because it's a lot of it is very, I'm very well versed in what the different shapes and sizes of families and what they do and how does it go. All based on my own. So, yeah.
Do you think because of what happened with the pandemic, do you think things like video on demand and that are the wave of the future? Maybe seeing less and less things on the big screen in the big cinemaplexes?
No. When this pandemic is whipped, it's going to be such a celebration. I mean, people just being free, and we'll go back to an appreciation that we probably never felt before. This is a shocker.
Yes.
It's been 8 months already.
Yeah.
And I've been living in my house, and
mm-hmm.
A whole new side of me has come out. I talk to myself a lot.
I do too. I answer myself too. So
I do too, man.
It's the best conversation. You always agree with yourself.
No shit. You find out what an asshole you are, or how great you are, or you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I found out I'm always right.
I know. I lay in bed and go, "What are you saying?" And I go, What did he say? What did you hear? I mean, this is like a therapist. If a therapist could live in your house and just watch you talk to yourself, you'll be cured of everything, whatever it is. You know?
I found one of my son's old stuffed animals. I talked to it for about a half hour. It was the best conversation I ever had. He agreed with me 100%.
That's so funny, man. And you know the best thing, you're willing to admit it.
Oh yeah, I think you'd go crazy if you didn't, or you're crazy for doing it. I mean, one of the two.
We're finding out who we are, really more who we are, not totally who we are, but more who we are. Aren't you seeing so much shit in people that it's just unbelievable? I mean, I've been watching a show on television about these guys that there's like 4 guys, and they are professional body motion. They read people, whether they're lying or not. You know, if it's somebody they think has committed a crime, and they ask them certain questions, and they find out whether or not they did it. You know, and so it's very intense, and very detailed. And I've been watching that show, and man, the shit they come up with, and what they see you doing, is just crazy. Just in a conversation, how you wave your hands, how your eyes move, all this stuff, and it's great for acting. I mean, because if I read somebody, I can really do better myself, you know. But it's very exciting. I mean, there's so much behavior that's happening right now with all this corona issues. You know, politicians certainly have lost their status
Yes.
in the fucking world. You're supposed to be helping people, not sapping them. You know, not like that asshole on the Unhealer. That guy would suck you dry. He would eat the carpet if he thought he could sell it later.
He might have been able to get rid of the corona though with those shaman powers.
Yeah, but you see how much karma plays into shit.
Well, yes, that's.
I had to apologize like 25 times to the Native American guy that was in it, because I thought, yeah, fuck you, chief. You know, I'm doing all of that shit.
Yeah.
And I kept, after every take, I just said, look, man, I don't feel this way. This is a piece of shit person I'm playing. Mm-hmm. He's an angry homeless guy in a linen suit. So I, you know, because that means a lot to me. I don't like abuse. I won't do it anymore at all without letting somebody know. I really, I don't want to be that way. I never will be that way. I actually wrote a book. It's called With Someone. It's called Telluride, and it's a comic. It's like 5 comics in one book about a science fiction thing that is called Telluride, which is what the old stagecoach guys used to say when they were on their way up the mountain to Telluride, which was a gold town. Anyway, gold and silver. But yeah, and it was such a pleasure to do it. It really was. It was very, very creative. And I did it for, what the hell's the name of that company? They're not my favorite company. But anyway, I wrote it for, shit. Boy, see how I'll be talking to myself about this for about an hour, you know, probably.
That's all you'll remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the company. Wait a minute, I have their check here. I've never cashed it.
Wow, that's
It's laying here on the... Oh, there it is. Dark Horse Comics.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm a comic
But anyway,
collector, so yeah, I'm familiar with their stuff.
well, yeah, you gotta see that book. I wanted my buddy and I that were writing it wanted a really great comic book guy to do the illustrations, and they said, "Well, we can't afford him." And I said, "All right, I'll tell you what. Give me $1 an issue. In other words, $5 because it's going to be 5 issues. Give give me $5 to close the deal, and then you pay him with the money you would have given me. And I still have the check. I never cashed it.
Is it for $5?
Yeah, I did it for $5 and it took a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the principle.
Oh, yeah. So what you're saying is, in real life, you would never take an elephant gun and hunt homeless veterans for sport?
No.
Okay.
Well, if it was in a movie, I might.
Well, yeah, that's... they made a sequel.
I don't know what's going to happen, man, because this, the homeless whole thing is growing exponentially. I mean, and now people understand what those people are going through because they're kind of going through it themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So something's got to give. Something's got to change, and it will. I really believe it will. Just like all the issues of racism, it's got to change. There's no excuse anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm fucking happy, and I'm okay, and I hope you're okay, and everybody I like in this world, I hope they're okay.
I mean, I'm great. I have stuffed animals to talk to.
God, that's such an illness.
I wonder if there's a part of me that misses playing with them with my son. So now I've either developed a schizophrenia or I don't know what's going on.
Hey, let me ask you this though: what kind of stuffed animal is it? What does it look like?
It's a red crocodile. Its name is Pluto.
That's not a warm fuzzy. That's
when he was little. That was his favorite stuffed animal, and I would talk to him with it when we'd play, of course. And I had my own voice that I did with this stuffed crocodile. And then, as he got older, he quit playing with it. And I'm cleaning the other day, and I picked this thing up, and I'm talking to it, and I'm answering myself in the voice that I used to do for this thing. So it was like, I don't know if I miss the playing with this with my son, or if I miss this stuffed animal.
I would admit everything. Don't hesitate to admit it.
I even asked him, I was like, hey, you want to play with Pluto? And he's like, no, Dad, I'm 11. I was like, oh, damn it, okay.
See, he's getting out from under you already.
Yeah, it's too soon. I blame the COVID. I blame the quarantine. It's driving everybody stir crazy.
Oh, buddy. Well, hey, you take care of yourself.
You too. Thank you so much for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
Is it live up to your standard?
More than you could have hoped.
More than you could have hoped.
More than I could have hoped. Yeah, I mean.
No, wait, no. What if I had been one of those guys a guy with only 4 words in his fucking vocabulary?
No, this was an absolute pleasure. I really can't thank you enough.
No, you're welcome, man. I mean, we all need, in our own way, the support. We do. That's why I wanted to do it. So,
and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, everything that we talked about. You were asking, what would I tell a young actor? Mm-hmm. We just did it. All the things I told you, we just did it. So that'll work.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to the Chronicles of Hollywood History. Thank you from Gomez Richmond Productions.